There was a version of your life that you once imagined. Maybe you saw it clearly. Maybe you whispered it to yourself late at night when no one else could hear. A dream job, a soulmate, a home filled with light, a feeling of certainty that you knew who you were and where you were going. And for a while, you believed it would happen. You worked hard, you waited, you hoped. You looked at others living that life and thought, soon, that will be me too. But then, the years passed. Plans changed, circumstances shifted, or maybe the dream just didn't arrive. And now when you look around, the life you imagined is nowhere to be found. Instead, you're standing in a version of your life you didn't plan for, didn't expect, maybe didn't even want. And there's this quiet ache that no one talks about, the grief of the life that never happened. A kind of mourning that doesn't wear black, doesn't get condolences, but lives in the space between what is and what could have been. People ask how you're doing, and you say, I'm fine. But deep down, a part of you is still asking, is this really my life? It's a strange thing, to be alive and still feel like something is missing. Like the version of you that you once dreamed of is standing just out of reach. Maybe it was never about the dream itself. Maybe it was about the hope it gave you. The feeling that your life had direction, had shape, had purpose. And now that it's gone, now that the dream has faded, you're left wondering if anything can replace it. But maybe this isn't the end of the story. Maybe this is where it begins. Sometimes it's not the reality that hurts the most. It's the expectations. The story you told yourself about how things were supposed to go. The timeline you built like a ladder toward worth. Graduate by this age. Find love by that age. Be successful before 30. Have it all figured out by now. But life doesn't read your timeline. It interrupts. It delays. Rewrites without asking for your permission. And when things don't happen according to the plan, we don't just feel lost. We feel like we failed. It's not because we actually failed, but because we believed that success meant keeping up with the script. Expectations become chains. Not because dreaming is wrong, but because we start confusing the dream with our identity. If I don't become that person, then who am I? If I let go of that path, does that mean I wasted my time? If I didn't achieve it? Does that mean I wasn't good enough? These questions don't come from truth. They come from fear, from comparison. It's from a world that equates being with achieving. But what if letting go isn't failure? What if it's freedom? What if the life you imagined was never meant to be a prison you locked yourself inside? If you were allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to release the weight of other people's voices pretending to be your own. Maybe you didn't fall behind. Maybe you simply chose a different kind of peace. And that peace might not look like what you imagined, but it might just feel more like home. Letting go isn't easy, not because the dream was perfect, but because it was yours. It gave you direction. It gave you hope. It gave you something to hold when everything else felt uncertain. To admit it won't happen, that it's time to release it, can feel like betrayal, like turning your back on who you once were. And there's grief in that, a real quiet grief that doesn't get rituals or funerals. No one throws a goodbye party for the version of you that never arrived. No one says, I'm sorry for your loss. When your dreams dissolve quietly while life keeps going. But it is a loss. It deserves to be honored. Because dreams are made of love, of longing, of all the little pieces of who you hope to become. And when they die, something in you aches. Not because you failed, but because something beautiful didn't come to life. It's okay to feel that. It's okay to sit with the sadness, to miss the person you thought you'd be. You don't have to rush into finding the silver lining. You don't have to immediately be grateful for the detour. You're allowed to be disappointed. You're allowed to wish it had turned out differently. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Sometimes letting go is an act of mourning. It's not just for the dream, but for the years you spent chasing it. For the version of you that believed so deeply in that future. And here's the hardest part. Sometimes that version of you still lives inside you, asking, why didn't it work out? What did I do wrong? The answer? Maybe nothing. Maybe life simply had other plans. Plans that don't make sense yet. Still, it's okay to cry for the plan you lost, to light a candle in your heart for the life that didn't bloom. And then, maybe slowly, you'll feel just enough space to look around at the life that's still here. So now what? Now that the dream is gone, the plan is broken, and the version of you that was supposed to arrive never showed up. What do you do with the life that remains? Maybe you look around and it feels unremarkable, ordinary, nothing like what you pictured. But what if it's still worth living? Not because it looks perfect, but because it's real. Because even though it wasn't planned, this life still has mornings that feel soft, still has strangers who smile, still has laughter that comes out of nowhere and leaves you breathless. Maybe the joy isn't in the big arrival, but in the small moments that didn't need a blueprint to exist. A cup of tea in the quiet before the world wakes. The way light hits your floor at 4 p.m. The dog who always greets you like you're the best part of their day. What if those things aren't distractions from the dream, but are the dream in disguise? You may not have become the person you imagined, but look at you now. You've become someone who survived things your old self never could have handled. Someone who knows how to bend without breaking. Who knows how to stay even when it's uncomfortable. Who knows how to feel deeply, fully, and still show up again tomorrow. What if that's not a failure, but a kind of wisdom? Maybe you haven't lost your way. Maybe the path just changed shape. And in this new shape, this unexpected, crooked, unfinished shape, maybe there's room for something even more real. Not a perfect life, not a movie script life, but a life that knows how to stay soft, even after the storm. A life that can laugh without needing a reason. A life that lets go, without losing heart. Maybe peace doesn't come from achieving the dream. Maybe it comes from letting yourself love the life you actually have. Because somewhere in this ordinary moment, without the fanfare, without the applause, something beautiful is still blooming, quietly, patiently, just waiting for you to notice. We spend so much of our lives chasing meaning, as if it's a destination, a fixed point on a map we'll one day arrive at. But what if meaning doesn't live out there, in the job you haven't landed, the love you haven't found, the version of yourself you haven't become? What if it's here, in this moment, in this breath, in this exact version of you, as you are right now? It's easy to think that the life you imagined had more meaning than the one you have. It was shinier, more structured, easier to explain to others. But meaning isn't about how your life looks. It's about how your life feels, how it moves you, how it breaks you open in quiet ways. Meaning is in the way you get up, even when no one's watching. It's in the meals you cook for people you love, the text you send just to say, I'm thinking of you. Meaning is not found in the perfect plan that never failed. It's found in the moment you forgave yourself for not living up to it. It's in how you carry grief without letting it make you hard. It's in how you keep your heart soft, even when the world tries to close it. In how you choose kindness even when you're tired or lost or heartbroken. Maybe the life you imagined had big moments, flashing lights, applause. But maybe this life, this ordinary, complicated, imperfect life, has something deeper. Maybe it has depth, the kind of depth that comes from being present with both joy and pain. The kind of depth that can't be posted online or captured in a 5-year plan. Maybe meaning is quieter than you thought, less like a spotlight, more like the way your dog sighs beside you at night. More like the rhythm of your own breathing when you finally feel safe. What if the life you imagined was never supposed to be the point? What if the real point was to learn how to love the life that showed up instead? Not perfectly, not all the time, but enough to make peace with it. Enough to plant roots in it, enough to find beauty in the mess. You don't have to figure it all out. To make your life meaningful, you just have to show up for it. With tenderness, with honesty, with the courage to say, "This isn't what I expected, but I'm going to love it anyway." Letting go is not giving up. It's not weakness. It's not defeat. It's not failure disguised as surrender. Letting go is choosing reality over illusion, saying this dream meant something to me, but it no longer fits who I am. It takes strength to unclench your hands from a future you once fought for. It takes courage to grieve a version of life that the world convinced you was the only one worth having. And it takes even more courage to begin again, to reimagine what a good life could look like now. You are not giving up. You are choosing to live honestly, or making space for something new to take root. And maybe, just maybe, that something new won't look like anything you've dreamed of, but it might feel more like you. Letting go means honoring who you've been without being held hostage by who you thought you had to become. It means closing the chapter without burning the whole book. You're not lost, you're evolving. And evolution is messy, unscripted, beautiful in ways you only understand in hindsight. You don't have to hold on to prove your worth. You don't have to chase a dream that no longer dreams you back. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to rest. And when you're ready, not when the world demands it, not when the timeline says so, but when you are ready, you can begin again. From here, from now, from exactly who you are. Letting go isn't the end, it's a quiet beginning. One where you don't need to prove anything, just be present and trust. That's enough. The life you imagined may be gone, but the life that is still waiting to be lived. And that, my friend, is a kind of hope worth holding on to. This is quiet philosophy, where thinking isn't loud, and life doesn't need to be either. Subscribe if you haven't already, not for noise, but for something you can actually feel.